Okay, this is just a short video for both my GCSE people that I tutor and also my AS class, my first year A-level classes on completing the square. First of all, let's talk about why would you want to do this under any circumstance. Well, pretty simple. It does three things for you. It solves equations for you, potentially faster than the quadratic formula, and can be used whether things factorize or not. You could use it to find turning points in the graph, so let's just define turning points here. So imagine you've got a quadratic, it's a U shape or an N shape. There's going to be a point where it stops going down and starts going up, or stops, or vice versa, stops going up and starts going down. Basically, the kind of like the peak or the trough of it. I know that's a bit kind of redundant for you A-level guys, but GCSE guys will need that explanation. So turning point of the graph is like the base of the U or the tip of the N. And it can also be used to prove the quadratic formula. That's something I'm just going to show you very briefly. So that's why you want to know how to complete the square. Now, one point here, I'm only going to do completing the square with x squareds, what's called a monic quadratic. That's an x squared, like something like x squared plus 5x plus 10. I will make a video at some point where I do something like how do you complete the square with 3x squared, and in fact I actually sort of use that when I prove the quadratic formula, but for now, let's just keep it nice and simple. Let's just talk about x squared. Okay. Okay, so on this page you can see both how the completing the square can solve and how it can be used to find a turning point of a quadratic. So let's go through the solving first. What do? You first rearrange so you've got both the letter terms on the left and the number term on the right. So that's what I've done in my first step and second step. The third step is the key. You half the middle term. So 6x becomes, well, the 6 becomes 3. And you put it inside the bracket in the style that I've done it there. So x plus 3 squared. You've got to do one other thing though. You've got to take away the square of the number that's in the bracket. So let's recap that. You half the 6 to get the x plus 3 squared. And then you subtract the square of that number. So you subtract the 3 squared is 9. The right hand side is unchanged. You step after that, you just put the 9 on the other side. Then you square root. Just remember the square root of any number can be a plus or a minus. So the square root of, say, 16 is plus or minus 4. You put the 3 on the other side, and Bob's your uncle. You've got minus 3 plus or minus 1, minus 2 or minus 4. Pretty quick. To be fair, this is one you could factorise quite easily, but it shows the principles quite nicely. To be honest, also, that even if it was a 5x, you'd have to deal with fractions, but the method is the same. And if there's like sufficient interest, I might actually do that in the next video. Show you what happens if it's like an odd number, like x squared plus 7x. It doesn't actually make any difference at all. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. And if you've got any queries on that, please do just drop a message. Now, turning point. We should recap what the turning point is. It is either the bottom of the U shape as you stop going down and start going up, or it's the pinnacle of the N shape if it's a minus x squared. And how can we get turning point? Once you've finished completing the square, so by step 3, if you rearrange so everything's on the left hand side, the turning point is just very simply the negative of what's in the bracket and the other number as x and y coordinates respectively. So the turning point here is minus 3, minus 1. Again, if you actually draw this, you'll see that that's basically what it actually does look like. So draw it on something like Desmos. GCSE guys, look up Desmos, it's a hell of a thing. And that's pretty much all there is to it. It's pretty damn useful. As I said, there is more to it than this, and there will be another video following this up with things like what happens if there's an odd number in the middle, and what happens if it's like 3x squared or minus x squared. But I think that covers the basic ideas. There's one more thing I do want to talk to you about, and that is the idea of how it's used to prove the quadratic formula. And that's something that A-level guys will need to know, and the GCSE guys probably should know. So let's have a look at that. So here we go. That's the proof of the quadratic formula right there. So what do you do first off? For the first 3 sort of steps, what we're doing is we're doing completing the square as you know it. So we put the thing that isn't a letter on the right hand side. Then we do something a bit special. We divide through by a to get x squared. And that's kind of like a hint of what we're going to be doing in the next video when I actually get around to doing it. Ax squared is not something you can complete the square with. So you divide through everything by a, and then you have something you can complete the square with. I half it and put it in the bracket, and then subtract the square of it. That's what's happening in line number 4. Put it all on one side, you get line number 5. Square root, you get line number 6. put the b plus 2a on the other side, line number 7, and they've got a common denominator, so just put them all together to get the final kind of the formula as you know it. It's not as bad as it looks. It's one of those things you kind of have to see in person, I think, actually. But if you're confused by any step of that, let me know. So let's just kind of run through that again quickly. Rearrange, first of all, to get it into being almost ready to be complete the square. So put the thing on the other side, put the c on the other side, then divide through by a, complete the square, put everything on the right hand side, and Bob's your uncle. And that's all there is. I use Bob's your uncle too much. Bob's your mother's brother or something like that anyways. I hope that made sense, especially for the A level guys. I think the GCSE guys, you might want to talk to me about that in person. Okay? Have a lovely evening. Bye.